What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Havoc Sports Podcast. I am Cole McCain with my other co-host, Harry Johnston.
What's going on, guys? It is a good day to be alive, and it is a good day to be a Bears fan, and a bad day to be a Patriots fan.
It's just a good day to talk football. We are
Besides the
2 months
Patriots and
out.
Colts, the Colts are terrible to talk about. I don't think, I'm thinking about it over here, and I don't think we'll ever spend more than 5 minutes talking about the Indianapolis Colts on this podcast ever.
This is a good time to talk about the Patriots because once the regular season starts, you probably won't hear from me. It'll probably just be like a one-person podcast for like a 5-month span because I'll be in a closet crying.
I think you guys will be all right.
I mean, we'll certainly get into it. Today we're going to break down some stuff that we've seen or heard from both camps, being Patriots and Bears, our favorite teams. We're just going to talk about some of the stuff we're seeing, some of the stuff we're hearing, kind of what we're recognizing, and to bust right into it, I'm going to probably one of the biggest headlines for the Patriots to start off the season was Drake May's drafted at 3. Is Drake May the starter? Is he the starter? You know, how soon will we see him start? And from some of the stuff I've been seeing and hearing, it does look like Jacoby Brissett will be the starter. And if you listen to previous episodes, Harry and I definitely talked, and that was a strong point. As I said, I think Jacoby should start. Originally, I said that he should start for weeks 1 to 4 and then kind of ease May in.
Yeah.
But, you know, the schedule got released. They had the second toughest schedule.
Yeah, that's tough because you guys had one of the worst schedules. So usually how that works is if you really don't pay attention to, like, in-depth NFL, is usually the worst teams get the easiest schedules.
Yep.
And so being that you're at number 3, it almost makes me think that the NFL just hates the Patriots.
Yeah, third worst team.
Either that or they have high
schedule.
hopes. You never know. I don't know.
Definitely high hopes. But yeah, so Jacoby's looking like he's going to take the helm for a while. And I think this is, if you're a Patriots fan, this is a good thing. The last thing you want is a Mac Jones effect. And this is not a diss at Mac Jones at all. I've taken many takes on this on the podcast. Bad coaching, bad fans, ruin Mac Jones.
Yeah, and we're hoping that doesn't happen to Drake May, but I think
you just
if
can't throw him into the fire.
If Jacoby gets booed, it really doesn't matter to him.
Nope.
Because he's there to collect his paycheck at the end of the day. He's a veteran now.
And he's a veteran Patriot.
Yeah, so
he gets it. He knows what the fans do.
Yeah.
And I think that's good because Drake May needs to see this. It's not going to be pretty. You have the second worst schedule.
Yeah.
And I think as a rookie, your expectations are, I'm going to come in, I'm going to win a Super Bowl, I'm going to win this. With this bad of a team, you're not winning a lot of anything.
You're hoping you can see Jacoby struggle. If you're the head coach, you're like, man, I hope these first 4 or 6 weeks are just a struggle bus for us. I mean, you're not telling your guys that, but in the back of your head, you're really hoping that Drake May gets to see that experience of a quarterback being frustrated and throwing his damn tablet on the ground and just having that emotion.
Because it brings, and I don't mean it in a bad way, but it brings his expectations of what he expects down a lot, which is what he needs. High morale is great. When you have a team that can win, high morale is perfect.
Right.
But when you come in with high morale and your team sucks, all caps, it can fluster you and it can really bring you down. We saw Mac Jones in the transition of 3 years go from rookie year. He was an all-pro. Like, you were looking and we were like, Mac Jones, he's good. He's really good. And then 3 years later, we're like, Mac Jones, he's really bad.
Right. And I'm hoping that and this whole thing is you got to hope that Drake May also wins the locker room as well.
Yeah.
He's got to earn the respect of, his wide receivers, his
I
offensive
think it's good
linemen.
that they're young.
Yeah.
The receivers are young.
So he'll that shouldn't be too hard for him.
No. It should be a smooth. I mean, this offense is in a full-on rebuild. So you're seeing a lot of the older guys go out. You're seeing a lot of young new guys come in, and I think that's great for Drake May because he can build up with them all together. He can get super comfortable with them.
Just like Jordan Love, really. I mean,
but it's going to take time.
They brought him in. They got him new wide receivers, and
you don't
connect with the younger age.
You don't want to throw your rookie quarterback into a burning house,
right? Because we see what happens with that, like Justin Fields,
Yeah, it's just Mac Jones.
Yeah.
It's going to take time. Another thing I've been seeing from camp and from links and letters and doing a lot of research, this Matt Judon, who is probably the face of the Patriots, I feel pretty comfortable saying that right now. The extension is nowhere near close. Both parties are not liking the price, and my guess is Judon wants that max deal because he's going off of like 3 years ago in his performance. But he's been injury prone very late as of late. And a max deal I just don't think is what the Patriots want to give. That's Belichick's guy, not Mayo's guy.
Yeah.
And Mayo worked with him, but
it's hard to find somebody like that. And, And if he's on the last year of his contract and you guys are wanting to get rid, or he doesn't want to sign with you guys, that's when it comes to a Keenan Allen trade where it's like a 4th round pick and you guys get absolutely nothing from him.
I just think with age, injuries, max deal is not on the cards for him.
Yeah, I think you guys will.
I think you can find a deal for the right price.
But this is the same thing that happened with Baltimore.
Yeah.
He wanted more money and they didn't want to give him
at that time. He did deserve that money.
Yeah.
He went stupid like the next 2 years for the Patriots, but this defense is Super Bowl ready. They proved that they were Super Bowl ready when Judon was hurt. The team is fairly young. Judon's probably one of the oldest ones because they just got rid of a lot of older guys on that defense. But this team is like, I don't think people understand how good the Patriots defense is. It's like a top 5.
Yeah, it's
definitely top 10 defense.
It's always a boring game, but that's always because their defense is so good.
So, I hope they get a deal done. If they don't, it makes a lot of sense. It probably means he was asking way more than what they're willing to give.
It's probably like something like Robert Quinn. Remember when he scammed the Cowboys and then he turned around and went to the Bears?
Too.
Yeah.
And then lastly for the Patriots, end off on a lot better note. I'm actually going to give Patriots some gas as a fan myself. One thing to definitely be excited about is Demario Douglas. The circumstances last year of how awful that team was, being last in like everything. Douglas had a pretty good rookie season, and you look at the numbers, and at first they don't jump out at you at all, right? 49 receptions, 561 yards, 0 touchdowns. You're like, good rookie season. Well, he didn't really start getting play time until week 6.
And he had a terrible quarterback room.
Yeah. So. And week 6 was late game, week 6.
Right.
So basically week 7 on, you look at week 7 on, those are pretty good numbers.
Yeah.
You'd like to see some touchdowns there.
And he got drafted, 4th round?
He got drafted late. It could be 4th. It could have been beyond, but it was not.
I think it was 4th
It was
or 5th.
definitely not 1 through 3.
Yeah.
But he started taking away in the training camps.
Yeah,
Everybody was talking about him.
He was under the radar. I think someone mentioned him in their draft scouting thing, like an underdog, and he's from a smaller school.
He's a safe option.
Yeah, and so I think Douglas will be really good for you guys. I think he's best at wide receiver 3, probably in the slot.
Yeah, he's smaller.
But I feel like you guys have. I mean, obviously you guys need to get rid of Juju. I mean, your next move has to be wide receiver, right?
Thornton can go too. Yeah,
it's got to be wide receiver.
You address some offensive line, but I think offensive line can
wide
always
receivers
be addressed in off-season, talking free agency.
Yeah, but you guys got to go wide receiver 1st round next year, no matter what.
unless
you lose Matt Judon and there's a
rumors of
defensive end.
Brandon Ayuk being available.
Yeah, if you guys give them your next 2 years of first rounds, then
I don't think they're going to get that.
49ers are winning the Super Bowl for the next 4 years.
I don't think he'll go for that because you got to re-sign him. But I mean, Douglas is good. You definitely got a lot of work. You got to get a 1. I think the 2 you drafted are 2s. He's got a season under his belt. He's like out of the good receivers at New England, or quote unquote good, he's their veteran.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a safe option for Brissett, a safe option for May to go to. He's on short routes. He's quick. He's going to get open.
I look for him to be a wide receiver too by the end of the year, just because of the fact that if Juju doesn't perform,
Juju's probably not going to start.
Yeah, if Juju doesn't perform by week 9, they're looking to get rid of him at all means necessary, like a Chase Claypool trade.
I mean, if you play fantasy football around like 12 and on, got to gamble, I don't think it would hurt to go get Douglas.
No,
if you
not
get
really.
Anyone else on New England, message me, and I'll come smack you upside the head. But Douglas is a safe pick. Is he going to go out and drop you 20 fantasy points per game? No. But
maybe
throw
like
him in,
maybe like two games out of the year he might drop 20 points.
You need to throw him in on a quick sub. Somebody's got to buy. I would feel pretty confident putting Douglas, and he's just someone that's so under the radar. Nobody's thinking about the Patriots.
Right. I mean, yeah. So true.
Yeah. That's.
Are we done? Are we done with the?
That's the Patriots
camp. Off-season summary.
Vasco.
Because it doesn't. I mean.
Death.
Camp not
the last
camp,
time to get
OTAs. OTAs start now, right?
Yeah.
Like they're starting in a week or so.
Yeah, it's the last time to get excited as a Patriot this season.
So after this podcast, we'll have camp.
Patriots.
We'll have the actual camp with rookies invited the second day of the actual camp, and then the rookies and the veterans all get to play together.
Yep.
And then we got our first preseason game on August 2nd, which from now would be about 2-3 weeks from now.
Yeah.
And that's the Bears and Texans.
Yeah.
So a little bit of Bears news. Yeah, a little bit of Bears news. Not really much besides quarterback and wide receiver going on here. We didn't really upgrade our offensive line that much. The injuries of last year killed us to the point where we were blaming our quarterback because he had 2 seconds to read the field.
And then when he did have time, he was so shocked he held on to it too long.
Yeah.
Scared him.
And it was getting to the point where we were putting, Jadier Carter at right tackle, and he's a left guard. So we were putting out-of-position players at O-line spots. We didn't fix any of that. So we're going to expect the same thing this year. Looking at Caleb in his little camp he had with the team, he really looked decent. His throws were on time. He was throwing with anticipation. And a lot of the wide receivers were talking about how, they didn't have to expect the ball being in the pocket. It was already there by the time they were looking.
Yeah.
So that's really good to hear, and especially when you were used to either a quarterback running the ball for 40 yards or just getting sacked for 20,
People got to remember, too, that he's a rookie.
Yeah.
So I think already one thing I like about Caleb over Justin is he's going to have to scramble, but I think Caleb is a extremely talented throw in the run type player, which adds another threat. But he's going to learn. He's going to mess up.
Yeah, he's going to mess up, and it's not going to be all roses. It's going to be...
It's all development.
It's going to be a better Bryce Young rookie year, but it's going to be worse than C.J. Stroud. It's going to be a decent year for Caleb, I believe. And I've heard a lot of coaches talking about Keenan. You could tell that, most of the players, most of the offensive line, running backs are all... following Keenan and what he says because he's the only one really on the team above 28 years old.
Yeah.
So, I mean, having him on the team is really, really good, but I'm starting to realize that he's just a hand-me-down. You know what I mean? Like, he's 32. We will have Keenan for a year. And unless Keenan wants to be a Chicago Bear, he's not going to re-sign
I'm
back.
going to make a bold prediction here for the Chicago Bears, whether you like it or not. Odunze is going to shine on this team. And I hate to break it to you, but with him being under Keenan Allen right now, learning all of Keenan's ways, when Keenan gets hurt in week 4, Odunze is a stud.
Yeah,
I don't think people realize how good.
I'm gonna pick him in fantasy like late.
He's good.
Yeah,
he's a sleeper. And if Keenan goes down, his value.
Yeah, 100%.
Wide receiver 2, wide receiver. I don't see wide receiver 1, but
no.
Wide receiver 2 or 3.
Yeah, I agree.
So good.
You know, and with that being said, you know, Keenan's probably also not going to be here just because of the fact that if he does leave, we do get our 4th round compensatory pick back, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
So it's just a good Ryan Poles move for short term to let our quarterback develop and find a way.
Odunze.
Yeah, and help Odunze. And you know, we finally found our Bears defense. We got Sweat, Johnson, Kevin Byard, who's added, Edmonds, Edwards. And those are all kind of our cornerstones now for defense, and those are our players that we're going to evolve around. With that being said, there is some updates on the weaknesses that we did try to address during the offseason. We still didn't get no left tackle. You know, Braxton Jones played 10 games last year.
Yeah.
We had nobody to fill in his position. That's why Justin Fields was sacked from his backfield side every game.
Yep.
And his PFF grade was a 68.8 last year, and that's downright terrible. That is downright terrible.
Yeah.
So we didn't fix that, so that is still terrible. Left tackle is still absolutely atrocious. Left guard, we have Tevin Jenkins, who's coming off of 9 games played with calf strains, and he had a 72.6 PFF grade and 731 snaps played. And that is decent, but with only 731 snaps played, 9 games played, terrible.
It's just very injury prone.
Yeah. And then here's a little interesting thing for me, I think, is what we tried to do that was really well was trying to get a couple centers to realize that we were terrible on the inside. We had the worst center in the NFL last year.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that? Dude, I was saying we were
He was bad.
We got Ryan Bates, who was injured last year. He played, I think, 2 games, had 35 snaps played, had a 78.8 PFF rating. So he's going to be good if he can stay healthy. I mean, the Bills prioritized signing him when he was a free agent. So I think that's a good sign. But then we had Shelton from the Los Angeles Rams, who's a 64.5 PFF grade, but he played 1,000 snaps.
Yeah.
Okay, so he can
play.
And I think wasn't Matthew Stafford hurt last year too a little bit? Was Stetson Bennett playing? Not Stetson Bennett. Kyle or Ripien or whatever his name is.
I don't know if Stafford missed time. I know he was hurt, but he could have been playing while hurt. Stetson Bennett should have been in there. That dude would have took LA over.
Yeah, whatever. He can't get over the alcohol. But so left side of the line, completely the same. Center, little upgrade, not too much. Still expect the same thing from the left side to center. You know, probably a 60% success rate. Not going to be very good. But overall, right guard, same situation. Nate Davis, most of the highly anticipated free agent for us last year from the Tennessee Titans. Everybody was like, this is the key reason why Derrick Henry was so good. Yeah, well, this guy's cheeks, okay? He's bad. He doesn't play a game. He complains about coaching, and he wants money. We're paying him $9 million a year to play no games. And as you can see here, I wrote down in my notes here that Davis's PFF ranking was a 52.9. Okay, so get him out. We need a right guard. We went and got one. We drafted one in the 3rd round. I say I would rather have him with upside than play this bum that doesn't want to play and just collect his money.
Yep.
Get him out. So right guard still the same. Right tackle, not terrible. You know,
still
rookie.
Progressing.
Yeah, rookie. Can't really expect much out of him. Big thing in the run game, one on the outside zones. He was pancaking people.
Yeah.
Love to see it. Some additions and how we have improved before we go into camp. We added Kevin Byard, who is a better version of Bo Jax. You know, Eddie Jackson's PFF grade last year, I think, was a 58.3. He wasn't reading the field like he used to.
Yeah.
He was just getting old, and you could tell that it was time for him to get out of the Bears uniform or either retire. And so adding Kevin, he brings that veteran presence to our secondary, and that's something you always need in a secondary is someone that knows and can read plays before they're even playing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's a good addition, 74.6 PFF. Great addition by Ryan Poles there. 27, 28 years old. Not terrible. DeAndre Swift, little unnecessary.
Yeah.
I mean, we already had Rashawn Johnson drafted.
Yeah,
we had Khalil Herbert.
Yeah. Too.
Yeah, I really liked Herbert. I think
it made no sense to take Swift.
Yeah, and I think
what he did with the Eagles' offensive line. They had like the number one offensive line,
right?
And he had back-to-back weeks, and like week 3 and 4 where he was good, and then he was just average.
Right, and I think if we could use this running back room right and utilize DeAndre Swift's passing ability into the dump passing to help our quarterback get out of terrible situations, I think that'd be good. But
and keep everybody from getting hurt.
Yeah, and
that's a big thing.
Having Khalil Herbert come in for screens, inside zones, and then having Rashawn Johnson on 4th and 1 goal line.
Yep.
Boom. So I think that's a good addition for us. It's kind of unnecessary with the money we paid him. Whatever. We got the money. Why not? Gerald Everett, just the same thing as Robert Tonyan, a little more athletic, spreads the field out a little bit.
He's decent.
Yeah, gives a vertical, gives a seam, gives our quarterback a big target to throw to. Whatever. Ryan Bates, decent, injury prone, but it adds some depth to the offensive line. I'd like to see him start at center. I think he could be really good, but he's got to be healthy. If he's not healthy, then he's terrible. And then obviously Keenan Allen, we've already talked about him. So he was, very good, very good.
Fourth rounder,
Yeah. And then lastly, with the Bears, let's talk about rookie signings. There's been a lot of news about, Caleb and Rome Odunze have not signed their rookie contract yet. Who cares,
it's always
dude?
that way
Who cares?
It's always that way. People just don't get it.
With Caleb, we're going to see the same thing with Justin as we did with Caleb. He's going to struggle. Bears fans did pretty good with Justin. We didn't really, we booed him, but we didn't boo him because Justin was terrible. Our whole team was terrible.
Yeah.
So I think we can be all right. I think the Bears fans realize that he's a rookie, and I think he's going to have the right fan base around him to succeed because we love football. We love just winning games. Just improvement would be awesome.
Must be nice.
So, and then Rome Odunze, future pick. If you can draft the best player possible and it'll help you in the future, and that's next year, great.
Yeah, I think to make your point, when we did the podcast on the draft and took Odunze, at first you were kind of upset, and I think a lot of Bears fans were upset. But then we kind of talked about the realization of, hey, newsflash, Chicago's not winning the Super Bowl this year. I hate to break it to Chicago fans. You're going in the perfect direction, but by having Odunze sit under Keenan and learn under Keenan, when you guys become the potential threats in the playoffs, everything will click. And when you're going, oh my gosh, Odunze, I believed in him. As soon as we picked him in pick 9, everybody that's not a Bears fan is going to look at you with the side stare because people really didn't agree with that pick.
Yeah, and I guess for me it was we're such a defensive heavy team to where
and Will Anderson was sitting there.
Yeah, and so basically Will Anderson. I mean, it was Dallas Turner, but he just having that talent that was a top 5 talent come right there to you.
Yeah.
And that is exactly, that is your immediate need. It is not a future pick. It is a pick that will help you now. I thought that it would be a better pick, but noticing that Keenan Allen's probably not going to stay, noticing that, Rome Odunze, he kind of looks like DJ Moore with more catching the deep ball ability.
If you see a lot of these Super Bowl teams outside of the Chiefs, because the Chiefs just have Patrick Mahomes, but you see a lot of these teams that are making deep runs in the playoffs and deep runs to the Super Bowl have wide receivers, 1A, 1B. Not 1 and 2, 1A, 1B. The
Right.
Dunze can definitely be a 1B.
Right.
So when Keenan bumps out and a Dunze goes in, you didn't lose anything. If anything, you gained way more. And when it's time and Caleb's comfortable and has a season under his belt, the runs the Bears could make could shock a lot of people, but it's planted.
I think it could be a wild card season this year, and that is our ceiling.
That is definitely the ceiling.
And I think it could be a wild card, and I think that we I don't even care if we lose in the wild card. I just want to make the dang playoffs, dude.
Yeah.
That's all I want to do.
I could see three teams in your division coming out and making the playoffs.
Right.
Packers, Lions, Bears.
Vikings, I don't know what they're doing over there. J.J. McCarthy looks terrible.
Yeah, J.J. McCarthy. And the people were talking about he's going to go 3. And I said it for the love of criminy. Don't let J.J. McCarthy be a Patriot. And you're seeing J.J. McCarthy. It's not good. It could change.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Sam Darnold's going to start.
Justin Jefferson's going to want out. But it's not my favorite team, so I don't care.
Yeah, and I agree. So that was a little bit of the Bears update. A little bit of information, not really much going on. Like I said, by the next podcast, we'll be starting up with camps. So I'll have a little more information. We probably won't touch too much on it, but we'll bring it up a little bit. What are we planning on for next episode?
Probably leaning more towards fantasy.
Yeah, because we got our draft.
Another thing we could talk about is Team USA, baby. Olympic basketball's coming up. They're looking good.
That's a good one. We could talk about that tomorrow. Let's talk about set for next episode. Let's talk about Team USA, and then let's talk about a little bit about fantasy and camps.
Yeah,
it's just we'll probably do a 3 segments episode with, probably a 15-minute episode with 5-minute segments of each.
Yeah,
something like that. Short episode, but informative.
Longer episodes will come. When football gets going.
Yeah,
there's just a lot to talk about. We'll probably try to break down almost every game unless it was absolutely boring.
Yeah, like every Patriots game.
Yeah, so I don't want to talk about any of those games coming up unless we win by some miracle. But yeah, the episodes are shorter. Just a quick rundown of why they're going to be shorter. There's not a lot going on. That's just the truth of sports right now.
You see it on your TV right now.
Yeah, what our fans want and what trends for us, it's not there right now. We got to wait a couple more months. So we're trying to talk about football as much as possible. We know that's our viewers' thing. It's football, football, football. Right now, without camps, without even preseason, it limits us to what we know and fantasy football. So we love fantasy football, but obviously that's not for every viewer. But we love football as well, and any way we can talk about it, we're going to talk about it on the podcast.
Right. And so we appreciate all the views. We appreciate all the support and your guys' feedback as always. And this was the Havoc Sports Podcast, and peace out.
Later.